Okay, so this will just be a quick lesson on constant structures. Now, a constant structure is a chord progression where chords of the same quality but with different root notes are played consecutively. And it doesn't matter what quality all the chords are, as long as they are all in fact the same quality. For example, you could have a whole bunch of major 7 chords, or a whole bunch of minor 7 chords, or a whole bunch of dominant 7 chords. Right, so the quality of each chord is the same, but with a changing root note. And generally in constant structures, the root note moves in a constant pattern. For example, going down by step, like I just did before, or more often you see constant structures going down in thirds. But really, they can move by any interval. And occasionally you'll find constant structures following the movement of the melody. So for example, if the melody goes up a major third and then a semitone, you'll often find that the constant structure does the same thing. It goes up a major third and then a semitone. So it follows the melody. And you can use any voicing when playing constant structures, but you should keep the voicing the same across all of the chords, because it's precisely this symmetry of chord quality and root movement and voicing that gives this progression a really nice structured sound, while still creating a shifting tonal center which sounds quite non-functional. Now, I've got a separate video which explains functional harmony, but essentially functional harmony refers to a chord progression that is in a particular key with a given tonic chord, and it sounds like that entire chord progression is moving towards the tonic chord. The chord G7 sounds like it really wants to resolve to and move to a C major 7. So when I say constant structures sound non-functional, I mean that they sound like there is no fixed tonal center or key. The chord progression isn't moving towards some ultimate tonic chord that will then sound resolved and finished. You can finish on any chord and the constant structure will sound complete, and that's precisely because of this symmetry in chord quality and often root motion. So for example, the chord progression F sharp, E, D, C, all minor 7 chords, sounds just as complete and final as F sharp, E, D minor 7 chords. Right, so those chords are not all found in any one particular key, and neither sounds more finished than any other. Now, of course, you could analyze this chord progression functionally and argue that you're actually changing keys from F sharp minor to E minor to D minor to C minor, but that's not really what it sounds like. It sounds like there is no fixed or ultimate key or ultimate tonic chord. It sounds non-functional. Now, using constant structures is a great way to reharmonize a song because it's very structurally strong and it gives a nice modern jazz non-functional sound. And this is exactly what Herbie Hancock and Bill Evans did in many of their reharmonizations, and they're the ones who actually popularized this constant structure chord progression. And it follows the general trend of jazz moving further and further away from functional harmony after about the 1950s to more non-functional harmony thereafter. Now, as well as using this idea in reharmonizations, constant structures can also be found in the actual written out chord progressions of various songs, like for example Herbie Hancock's Tell Me a Bedtime Story. So the chord progression at the end there went B major 7 to G major 7 to E major 7 to C major 7 and then repeated. Right, so that was a constant structure starting on B, going down in thirds and tracing out the arpeggio of C major 7, which is the last chord of that constant structure, and then it just repeats. And I was playing a rootless chord voicing in my right hand, and then just the root note in my left hand. Cool, and so that's really it. That's all you really need to know about constant structures. Now I'll make a separate video on scales to use when improvising over non-functional chord progressions, so look forward to that. But otherwise that's it for me. Thanks, see ya.